I want to get this party started, and for those who don't know around this space, one shout out the network CTLN. CTLN, make some noise for Plus and Trust in the building, and make some noise for Shanklin Hall because this is an amazing space. With that said, we have a Creative Connect card game, and that's to help you network. So to start this party off right, we are going to kick it off, Action DJ RAQIE, a question from our Creative Connect game. So, Law, take over.
For sure. So, in the Creative Connect game, we have 4 categories that you identify yourself as: a go-getter, a strategist, an artist, and a visionary. And looking at the lanyards that's around your neck, looks like you're a artist and a visionary. So, I have 2 questions for you. One, being an artist, one being a visionary. For the first one, being an artist, what do you consider to be the source of your artistic abilities?
Wow, this got deep real fast.
Escalated quickly.
I would say the source. Okay, when you ask me the source as a follow-up to the question, do you mean like a person or like a thing, or doesn't matter? Yeah. I would say like for me, so I identify as a DJ in this version of myself, but in a previous version of myself, I was a singer, I was a piano player, I played flute, I'm a dancer. So those are things that just kind of help to propel me in a direction of music. So I think for myself, I just recognized that music was just the center of everything that I really loved. So it just kind of made sense to continue in that form. So.
Now I like that because it's a mix, a big old gumbo of all the music things that you do to get you to where you are today. So I love that. So the question for the visionary is, what's an emerging trend or idea you believe everyone should be paying attention to right now?
Also very deep. I want y'all to know out there, I did not see these questions before. So, I think just the trend of being an entrepreneur and following your dreams is something that I think is beautiful, and I think that we should continue to do. I mean, I think one thing that, probably like the difference from the different generations from our parent generation to now is like, the idea that what you're doing for fun or what you're doing on the side can never feed your family or could never keep you going. I think the idea of recognizing like doing what you love could change your life. I think that's super important because it changed mine, even if I do still have a 9 to 5, but it changed mine to the purpose of giving me purpose changed my life. So yeah.
All right, we're going to do a question for the audience now because y'all looking up here like, oh my gosh, what's going on? I want y'all to know that these conversations are inclusive of you and we do appreciate you. So that is really deep. I don't know if anyone wants to talk about their fears. So I will say, come on, how do we keep getting this one? All right, the question for anyone in the room who is open to sharing, what's a fear that you recently conquered to take action? And I will say for myself, it was the fear of thinking that things had to be perfect and that, I had to kind of produce based off of what I've seen on social media as opposed to just creating in the space that I'm currently in. Because I overlook where I am plenty of times to create something that ain't even for me, but based on a bigger start. So that's mine. Anyone in the room want to share what they got over? They like, nah, we talking fears. That's crazy work. Hey, the question is, what's a fear you've recently conquered to take action? My brother.
All right, it's in a similar vein, but I think I struggle with like just moving in general, getting myself to actually do the thing that's in my head. So getting over like, I guess more so judgment of what someone may think of how I'm moving and just moving in the capacity that I know I can.
How y'all doing? How y'all doing? My name is Dez. I'm a graphic designer, part of CTON Network. Shout out Big Rule. Shout out Jigga Man. So one thing that I struggled with was perfectionist. So it's very hard for me to move unless I know things are perfect. So being comfortable in failing and coming back from that failure is something that's really like engraved me to kind of step forward and take advantage of, the possibilities that come with it. Anybody else? My bad.
So my first shop absolutely failed. I didn't even make it like a whole year. I made almost a calendar year. That was back in like 2013. But I opened up a new shop in 2022, and with all that I learned, now it's like been flourishing. So, I really thank God for that failure, and the experience, because it really humbles you. And then, you're able to, take all those failure lessons that you learned and then apply them to the new situation. And you just know how much you don't know. So you're open to like wise counsel. So, yeah.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Here we go.
Hey y'all. So her response inspired mine because I feel like for me, once I try something, like, all right, I did it. I'm not doing it again. It didn't work. But the fear of getting rid of the fear of actually doing stuff again. Because sometimes when we do stuff, it's not in the right timing. It's not in the right season. We aren't fully prepared. So trying things again, maybe twice, maybe 3 times, and then just allowing it, giving it time to actually work, I think is something that I've learned. So, yeah.
All right, let's lighten this thing up a little bit. All right, so DJ RAQIE, happy to have you here. We are celebrating Black Music Month, and just in general, what was a song that really like hooked you into music, or like an inspirational song that you like, oh, I love this, like I'm playing this on loop, letting it, motivate me in any space in mind? Like, what was that draw for you in terms of a song, if you can think of one? She like, I spit mad records.
I think there's like different. See, this is where things get complicated because when you love so much type of music, right? But like, I would say like something that just like randomly came to my mind for when people were chatting. I know like if anybody been to the Kanye West concert, I know pre-cancellation, he did the one with the glasses. It's leaving my head right now. No, not that, graduation. So a lot of people went to that because that's like when he was really like on the top. So I went to see him in Madison Square Garden. I was like 17. But he had like this book that he gave out in the concert. I don't know if anyone seen the book, but in the book he has like all these inspirational quotes. But one of the quotes he says in the book is like, life is 10% of what happens and 90% of how you respond or react to it. Something like that, right? So I think a lot of times with the concept of fear, it's just mostly in our head. So I think like, yeah, like I think it's so funny how people like come up to me like, yo, that mix you had from 21. I'm like, oh shoot, I forgot to delete that. That one wasn't the best, right? But so that's funny. But to the point of Kanye, one song that I really used to love back in the day was Find Your Dreams Come True. I Wonder. I'm terrible with lyrics and song names, but yeah, I Wonder. I remember taking my SAT and listening to that. Why? Because the lines are like, how many ladies in a, I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, so that, and I think like that also just led to a lot of what kind of inspired me to be a DJ. Anybody that knows Kanye knows he's like the sampling king, right? So then I would like listen to his music to find different samples. And then I'm Haitian, so my family, they didn't really listen to like Luther. My mom listened to some Luther, but like the Whispers, Willie Hutch, like all of that stuff, I didn't really figure that out until I was like maybe like 15, 16 years old. So for me, it was like just like a whole eye-opening experience to find like, Ray Charles, Gold Digger, like that. Oh my gosh, like that's like a whole sound of music I've never heard. My parents listened to like, Y'all probably don't even know. They listen to like I know my dad used to listen to like Sean Paul. He randomly loved Sean Paul, but anyway, like random Haitian stuff. So I would say like graduation. My uncle used to make us listen to Late Registration every time he came every weekend, and he had 3 copies of that album, one for the car, one for the house, and one for collector. Love him. But yeah, and then I had another uncle that lived with us, and he listened to Jay-Z, Nas, and the Lox every day. So all that to say, every type of music. But yes, Kanye's probably one of my main inspirations for DJing. But yeah.
Well, I just wanted to follow up with that because seeing the inspiration that you had from the music, but you also said earlier how you had so many other talents, from playing instruments to singing and things like that. But honing into the DJing specifically, was there a specific moment that was your calling to be a DJ? Like, what made you pivot to, you want to do a DJ? You might still do the other things, but was there a specific moment that clicked for you?
So one thing about me and like why I have like this visionary card on is around the ideas. Like sometimes I have these like, oh, I'm gonna do this. So maybe like 2016, 17, I was like, oh, I want to help plan parties and do event planning. So I was doing this wedding with my best friend, and basically what happened at the wedding, the DJ was like 2 hours late, and we was like, oh my God, African wedding. The DJ thought we was lying about the time. He was like, I'm gonna get there when I get there. Anyway, that's a whole other story. But all that to say, like, basically the first 2 hours was cocktail hour, and I was like, all right, I always love music. So I was like, all right, let me just throw some songs on. And I had like DJ, which is like a little program. Like if you don't know how to DJ, you could just use it, right? So I was on the phone, exactly. So I had the phone plugged up, and I was using DJ, and the people was like, oh my God, the cocktail hour music was bomb. And I'm like sweating bullets because the DJ still didn't come. He literally came 3 minutes before, like 4 minutes before the event was supposed to start. And then I'm like, so the couple actually had no idea. They thought that it was him playing cocktail music. It wasn't until the end when they were about to pay everyone. I was like, just so you know, my brother was 2.5 hours, 3 hours late, and the groom was trying to fight him low key. He was like, "Wow, oh my God!" But anyway, that's another conversation. So that's kind of what got me into DJing for real. So then I was like, okay, I could do this. And my uncle, actually the one that has all the late registrations, I told him that, and for Christmas he bought me like this little party pack DJ thing. It was like $100, and I would just play with it and just make little songs and like make little beats, and then from there it just grew.
Hey, wait, we gotta give her some love for holding down the wedding, because let me tell you something, that could go bad real fast. And I would have been the same thing. Like as soon as the set was done, hey, my brother, I'm gonna need a third of that because I held the block down. But I mean, I think to your point, and also don't think I didn't overlook the way you hit that note on Find Your Love. Like, okay, that sounded like the sample. Like, so it seems like it was something that kind of, I often view music as like the soundtrack to your life, right? And it really are songs that kind of play as the catalyst for how you move around and kind of shape your identity in the space. And so you started, again, first gig, opportunity, nailed it off the aux cord. Next thing, you get the DJ set for your uncle. At what point in your professional, I don't want to say professional, but in your like tenure of DJing, were you like, oh, this moment feels like I feel like I'm in the right place? Because oftentimes when you are doing or working in your purpose, you like, you kind of question it, but then that one moment clicks and you're like, oh, I'm right where I'm supposed to be. Can you think of an experience that kind of led to that?
Yeah, so that's so funny you say that, because that's honestly the reason why I'm here. Because actually the guy that's behind the camera right now, I met him like maybe 3 or 4 years ago. I don't even remember. But he had like a Kendrick shirt on, and I'm a big Kendrick fan too. I was like, oh, I like your shirt. I don't know. But basically what ended up happening was I posted a mix online at the time. And this is why I say don't ever give up. Because at the time I was like, yo, honestly, I remember thinking to myself, like, because I seen a few people around me getting popping with DJ. I'm like, damn, like I'm trying. It's not really like, I might have a gig once in a while. It's not really happening for me. So I'm like, you know what? If this, at the end of the year, if it doesn't really pop off, I'm going to just do other things, because I don't have time to be making endless mixes with three SoundCloud listens, right? So I've just posted. I be posting my stuff randomly, right? Also very nervously because I'm like, damn, does this suck? But whatever. But no, so I posted it and Josh was like, oh, well, we're having this event. We need an opening DJ. Your mix was fire. Would you do it? I'm like, mind you, I remember I said in my head at the end of this year, he hit me up. That was like November. The event was maybe middle of December. I went to the event, mind you. At this time I don't know much. I don't know where the event is. I don't know much. Then we start talking. He's like, oh yeah, we're doing it at Wild Days. If y'all from here, y'all know Wild Days is like a legitimate venue. So I'm like, oh shoot, like what's going on? So, we do the event. The event's great. Great event. They call me, they're like, yo, that was cool. Would you just like do that again next month? And actually this time you're not gonna be the opener. You're just gonna do the whole thing. And I'm like, okay. They're like, what's your rate? What's the rate? I don't even know really, right? So that event led to an event that most of y'all probably know now called Close Friends, which is probably like the premier event for Plus and Trust that kind of like catapulted the group to like really be like a staple in DC, creative space. And like, I don't like to call the group like a party group because we're not like promoting parties. We're promoting curation of music and understanding and community and connection. That just happens sometimes to happen over, some Casamigos, but that's but yeah, that was the moment that I was like, okay, God, this guy, because that happened in this. I remember the date. It was like December. I think it was December like 15th or something like that. 14th, yeah. And I remember because I had to go to my best friend. Her birthday's December 18th, and she always goes to some annual Christmas party at the Wharf. So I literally did that event and just rolled over and went to the but I didn't think anything of the event. I was like, oh, that was cool. But yeah, and ever since then, like that event has really that also one event also helped to really catapult myself as well as a DJ in the city. And it's to the point where people are like, oh yeah, you the girl that be doing, I see you before at that event. You look so familiar. And I'm like, oh yeah. So it's crazy how then you start realizing like fate, God, when you really are talking to God in the purest terms, you will get your answer. Sometimes it won't be the answer that you want, but you'll get your answer. So yeah, that was the moment. Chalet. See, they know more than me. December 2022. So that was 2.5 years ago. And I can honestly tell you that one event honestly changed my life. Like it did. We talk about that more later, but yeah.
Well, I love it because like it really shows you like everybody in this room. It really comes from network, who you talking to, who you connecting with, because it wasn't off of something you applied for. It wasn't off of you putting a proposal in. Like it's really off of who you knew. It was dope music found on SoundCloud, and the rest is history. So I want to kind of transition into that in terms of like the actual DJing and Plus and Trust and the things that they do with the music community. It's not just a party. Like you're not just doing the lit vibes, you know what I mean? So I want to know what's your approach when you go into the curation of your set and the DJing for different events. Does it matter based on the vibe of who's going to be there? I just want to know your strategy.
So I think that's something that is an ever learning process, and specifically for myself, because like I mentioned, my family's Haitian. I have a very strong ear for Caribbean music, Afro beats, tribal. There's like Bailey funk and all that stuff coming out now, right? So that's something that like I did an event yesterday, and they wanted me to do what you would call compa, which is like the Haitian sound, right? So I do that, and then so that's a curation style that I get to. Then when I do Close Friends, that is open format, play everything, right? But that's what I would call more playing for the middle. So it's like I'm not gonna really go and give the BD cut of like of Sean Paul or like Davido, but I might play sensational or like something more mainstream. And then there's a whole other side of me that I don't really get to flex as much, but I'm working on it to really focus on bringing stuff that people don't hear as much, right? So my goal is always to connect music for people and allow you to hear things that you love and you to hear things that are new. So all I want to do is yes, you might love these 10 songs, but I hope you walk away from that and say, oh, those 3 songs, I have to Shazam that. I love it when people come up to me and be like, yo, that's crazy. What's that? Because that means that the music is not only just a good time, but it's also becoming something that like, hey, I don't want to say putting you on, right? But kind of, that's, that's millennial term. That's Tumblr Day vibes. But like, just like I'm allowing music to breathe and build a space for people to feel like, oh my gosh, this is something new. So that's what I try to consider. When I'm DJing, all I ever ask is for the crowd to be open to hearing different things. So like, I don't care what the audience wants. I don't care if you want hip hop. I don't care if you want whatever. But like, I hate DJing spaces where it's like, if it doesn't follow this set routine, that is no longer accepted. And we know there's places like that. There's a bunch of places like that in the city. If you don't play this Future track with this Gunner track, and you know what I mean, then they're like, yeah, she was kind of poo. Like that was so, I try to like just do spaces that allow me to be, artistically free and say what I need to say musically.
I was gonna say, in terms of even like establishing what is your sound, your identity in the space, because I don't want to overlook, like, it sounds like you show up fully as you, right? How was it with because I think you recently did an event with Nyla Simone and DJ Money and a few other people. How is it when establishing your own voice and sound in this space when it can be considered oversaturated? Because I know we're talking to you from a DJ perspective, but I think a lot of creatives in the space or room could feel themselves like, hey, the market I'm trying to go in feels oversaturated. So how can I really show up as me?
That's a really good point. And I think like one thing that I try to do is like when I do events, I try to at least have some type of relationship with at least one or two of the DJs, right? So Money, he and I, like when he decided that he wants to start doing this event, we like chopped it up and talked a lot about like our love for like 70s and 80s and like all these funk sounds and stuff like that, right? So I try just to think about it as just being really as authentic and true to myself and not playing. One thing that I noticed that DJs do is they play like what we call low-hanging fruit, right? And sometimes low-hanging fruit, it go, right? You in a rut, you need no hands always gonna go, right? So exactly. Look, no hands, especially DC, pretty girls, right? So that's cool, but I also, like, for example, Superstar is Low Hanging Fruit by Usher, right? Every time, play that. But you, maybe instead of playing Superstar, I'm like, I heard that too much. I want to hear, maybe that's what it's made for. Maybe I have a Superstar flip that I love to play because it gives enough of that feeling, but it's not the actual song, right? So I think like just being okay with just like playing the B-sides, playing records that people may not know in between the records that you do know. I think that's how you really build your sound, right? And then also understand, being any type of artist, there's gonna be moments where it's not flawless, but taking the risk. Like I've had DJs like, I'm like, I didn't really love that, right? But DJs be like, no, I see what you're doing. I see what you're building. Though maybe the execution wasn't as how perfect as you wanted it to come out, the fact that you even attempted to do that live, the crowd most of the time will react and be like, oh shoot, that's fly, right? And you're like, damn, that was off by one beat, right? Half the time they don't even hear it. They just are so excited that you were playing Ready or Not after 7, and they're like, that's so cool, no one ever plays that track. I don't want to hear Can We Talk anymore, right? So I mean, some people still, I mean, it's not a bad record. But no more chatting, okay? No. But it's like we can also play Tevin Campbell, I'm Ready. That's also a great track. So yeah, just try new things. I think that's how really you set yourself apart. So yeah.
Also, thank y'all for bearing with the mic pat. I mean, it's a relay race up here. We are really doing a great job running. But one thing that I thought about as you were speaking to that last point was and hold on, let me get my notes here together, because you spoke a lot about just your own identity, what that looks like, in terms of, and shoot, I'm losing it because I definitely had it for 5 seconds, but we're gonna fill in space. Yes, with your actual sound and music that you are playing, is there an artist that you're like, yo, this person's on the rise, like more people should hear it? Like, do you ever get those types of spaces, or do you find yourself more like, I kind of play what most people do have a connection to?
I say it's a little bit of mixture of both. I think more. So this is the positive and negatives of quote unquote building a buzz, right? When you're excited, you're getting on events with, the artists maybe in the city, and you're not opening every time anymore. Now maybe you have a spot that, at 12 o'clock instead of 10 p.m., right? That's dope. Excited. But one thing that creates is when you're the opening set, I play whatever I want. I remember when I was playing Mutt, like when it first came out, I would play that so hard. They was like, what is this? Now I can't get them to stop playing the damn song, right? But I play like, Leon Thomas. Like I play like, I forget the name of the girl. I think her name is like, I don't want to butcher her name, but some R&B. No, her name, you said no. Like Knowledge, Anderson Paak, Slum Village, any Dilla track, like I still try to get that off if I can. Any Haitian track, like Four is right now is hot, right? The do this with let me not do this, but Burna Boy adding it to the track, now that's giving it like a whole new realm, right? But the guy that does Four Comped, like he's a really well-known artist in like the Haitian community, but he has that track is cool, but he has so many more fire tracks, right? So all that to say is like, yes, I try to infuse newer people in, but as you get more well known, that opportunity sometimes feels less obvious, right? And I think you get to a point or a crossroads, and I'm sure other people can identify, is where you're kind of like, do I still just do exactly what I want to do, right? Or do I try to like incorporate a future track here and there, right? I would say I'm probably more to the right side. I'm willing to kind of just like incorporate, but also still stay true to my core. I'm not going to go too far. If I don't personally feel like this track resonates with me, and like, don't think I'm above a Freako or what's the Pluto ski song? I was like, very gimmicky, very silly, but I think it's funny. Like, I like it, right? Or like the Get Jiggy, right? So my thing about it is like, if I really like it, I'm gonna play it, even if it's gimmicky. She was a fairy. I like all that stuff. To me is cool. But if I don't like it, I'm not gonna play it, right? And when I say like, that's might not be the right word. If I don't find the song to be sonically connecting, right? I'm not gonna just play music that is not, to me, well done. Sometimes the music can be, to me, silly, but still a well done track, or the artistry on it is still received. It may not be my favorite style, but I can see why someone likes Get Jiggy. Like, I can hear why it's fun, right? So yeah, I think it's being able to mix and figure that out and balance that is part of the job.
So I want to kind of circle back to Plus and Trust, because when I was introduced to Mitch last month, he was telling me about Plus and Trust, what it means to Plus and the Trust. And it was just amazing, just the entire idea of, it's not just a party, it's really bringing people together, unlocking new music that maybe you haven't heard of. So I want your perspective now of like, what's your favorite thing of doing the Plus and Trust events? Is it the people's interactions? Is it putting people on, what people say afterwards? I'm just curious, what's your favorite aspect of it?
I think for me, Plus and Trust obviously is community, get to know people. But my favorite thing about Plus and Trust, just events generally, is that's probably the space that I would say that I usually quote unquote perform the best. Why do I perform the best? Is because I know that the folks that follow Plus and Trust and that are like quote unquote patrons of those events consistently have an open music palette and love new stuff. Plus and Trust, they post every Friday like Plus approved music, playlists, different things that like doesn't have like the regular music, right? So it's like breaking a new artist, right? We do interviews with different artists as well, like that are on the rise. So I think that's my favorite, that I feel like this specific community has, you know, what I would call a sophisticated or elevated music palette. So it just gives me an opportunity to feel like, okay, like I could do this one, and they gonna know that, right? So that's like why I think the community is so nice, because it's a little bit different than quote unquote your regular event. So
and I remember the question I lost earlier. So again, great pivots. But no, honestly, we're celebrating Black Music Month, and so with that, we want to think about like again making history in real time, like celebrating in real time. What is the space that you feel like storytelling and the power of that throughout music? How has that not only impacted you, but how is that kind of impacting the way that things are going forward? And you know, we all kind of witnessed the battle last year that kind of changed a lot of dialogue. And so as we continue to receive new music, what do you feel like is going to be the next wave or forward thinking in the space of music?
I think like, well, this is what I would say. I would say once again, rap is one area, then R&B, right? So I think the concept of storytelling, as we're moving into this quote unquote digital AI world, the concept of storytelling and connecting to actual human to human is something that can never be taken away, right? Were you talking about someone as like deep as like, you know, let's say someone like DMX, right? The aggression and the storytelling that he creates on all of his albums is unmatched, right? And a lot of people in their own form or fashion try to copy that, right? Someone like Jay-Z does that too, but in a whole different style, right? So I think that's something that we want to always continue. And I think in the concept of just bridging that gap between rap and R&B, obviously I just mentioned like Mutt, right? One of the reasons why I think Leon Thomas is so dope is if you actually listen to the full body of work, it's a story. Confessions is a story. That's why we love some of these records. So I think that's something that I'm loving to see back again, that music is no longer becoming these like, and I love Cardi, but you know, she's dropping her album 7 years later, but she's been dropping these singles for the last whatever years, right? And those singles are just like random Lucy's. They're cool, right? But there's no story. Low Key, was it Invasion of Privacy? Was that her first album? Yeah, that was good, right? It had a story. So I love that concept of this. We're no longer trying to do this money grab of let me just drop singles and distributions to make money, but I'm now going to create a full body of work that is going to really change someone's mood, change someone's feeling. Like I want to feel like I love when I listen to Marvin Gaye, I Want You. Every song creates a different feeling. So I want to see that more in music, because I feel like that's how you go from this being just a song to this really changing like the moment, changing the mood, bringing something different to a space. So yeah.
So we're gonna wrap up a little bit. I got one more question, then we're gonna give the audience some time to ask some questions. But I do want to know, with everything that you do, the sophisticated music palette that the events that you like to go to. I consider myself, I have basic ears, so if somebody brings me something new, I love it. You know what I mean? So I do want to ask the question of what voices or sounds do you think need to be more amplified today, in the music space? Like, is it a genre? Is it an artist that you recommend? Is it or DJs?
Ooh, I mean, like I said, I did prep, so I don't know.
Okay, amazing job on the fly.
Oh, thank you so much. Okay. So actually one of my favorite DJs, and he's pretty well known in the DC space, but part of the reason why I think he's amazing is because of, you can hear his love for music, is Bo. He DJs here actually, I think every once a month, right? Bo's no DJing. His ability to really connect music through genre is really amazing. So that's from the DJ standpoint. There's a lot of DJs in DC that I love. There's a lot of women DJs in DC that I really love. And I really try to if I can prop them or connect with them. That's something I try to do. But But I would say like genre wise, obviously I'm biased. I think, you know, compa is like the derivative. If you really like Afro beats, like compa is up next. You know, Davido just dropped a new album that's really Afro, but it's Afro R&B. It's a little bit more slowed down, and I think that really relates to where we're going in the more, you know, international space of music being not necessarily super like fast and high paced, but more slowed down, and that's what's like closer to compa. I don't know, but like I would say like there's so many. I was just listening to the Kalani song. Kalani dropped some new work, and what's the girl that has the paint her nails? What's the name? K1? Yeah, I was listening to the Kalani, and then that made me click on her album, and I was like, "Ooh, this is good." I really like that. I also obviously like the ability just to like their music is just cross and not like necessarily like gender specific. I think that's a nice opportunity because I feel like in many cases with R&B, it feels like it has to be a girl crying about an ain't trash man. You know, or it has to be a guy, you know, Jodeci cry for you type of thing, right? So yeah, I think that's really, you know, I'm really big on, when it comes to R&B and music, I'm really big on the music, like real talent. So I really like I'm a Jasmine Sullivan stan girl because I feel like, you know, you could rip the vocals and just listen to her, right? So more of that for me, but yeah.
Anybody got any questions in the audience?
Yeah, I have a question. This is a two-part question. So if you could explain to the non-DJs in the audience, when you're in the zone, like what does that feel like? Like when you're just going crazy, you're just blacking out, you're trying new mixes. What does that feel like in detail? And the second part of it is, does it have a name like Sasha Fierce? Like what is yours? Yeah, what's your alter ego name?
I would say like probably anyone here like that really has like a creative passion. It feels, I mean, I don't really know because I never really done like drugs for real, but it feels like drugs. Like it feels like the best feeling you could ever have if you're trying to like quote unquote create a new sound, create a mashup, and you're able to do it live. It literally feels like a fire in your stomach. Like literally, it's like, oh my God, it feels euphoric, right? With that being said, if you're doing trash, it also feels like someone's stabbing you. So just recognizing like that feeling is a lot of times what people are chasing. And sometimes I find when I'm DJing, I'm getting emotional, not because a good or bad thing, but just a reminder of the opportunity to use music to make people feel good is something that I get paid to do is nuts, right? So I get reminded, I'm like, damn, and like usually that doesn't happen when I'm like in a packed club. It's usually happened when I'm playing like We Are One by Maze with like 50-year-olds and they're jamming and they're just so happy. I'm like, oh my gosh, it feels so good. But no, I don't have like I don't have a what's the word alter ego. My alter ego is my DJ. I'm RAQIE, which I still also struggle with responding to because I'm like, hey, and they're like, hey, Rock. I'm like, who? Oh, me. Yeah. So my real name is Tatiana, but my name is Tatiana Raquel, which is how I got RAQIE. So yeah.
Any other questions in the room, in the space?
I'm gonna just say her alter ego is Rock. If you guys have seen Raising Canaan, you know, you just get in formation. You behind her, Rock is calling the shots. That's what you do. Who had a question?
Yeah. My question is, how do you balance just being creative in this space and also like the business side of it? Like, how do you stay motivated to just create and then?
I think that's honestly a real question and a tough question because I never became a DJ to monetize, right? I wasn't like, oh my gosh, I'm doing this so I can make money. Now that I am making money, I'm like, okay, how do I do a better job of marketing myself? How do I do a better job of keeping this going, right? So that's something that I'm like growing with every day. And I think one thing that obviously social media is amazing. One thing that is hard for me is like, how do I use social media to my best advantage, right? Because I feel like in many cases, social media can be disingenuous, right? It's like we're laughing because recently on TikTok, they've been talking about the DC party scene, right? And how it's just, you said it. I didn't say that. That's what they say, right? So for me, I always feel like social media should just really be like a moment frozen in time. It should just represent what's actually happening at this event. And if that's not actually happening, or that's not actually what you're able to produce, I shouldn't be promoting that, right? And sometimes I feel like if you're in a beautiful space having a moment, why do you need to walk around with a camera and flash, right? So in many cases, I miss really good things because I'd rather keep the sacredness of that event or sacredness of that space so it feels authentic. But then I realized that authenticity, if that translates via camera and on social media, that's what people are chasing to come, right? They want to feel like they're in the cool club, right? Whatever that looks like. So I think I'm still learning the balance of how do I'm able to promote myself, market myself, and also believe in myself enough to say, hey, yeah, you can book me for, I don't know, let me say something good because, manifestation. But like y'all could book me for, NBA. You can book me for the BET Awards. I can do that. But sometimes like that requires internally to really for you to feel this is where I'm at. This is where I'm going. I remember I was like in my head like, oh my gosh, like I want to do Everyday People. Still do, just saying. But randomly they were doing Everyday People. They usually, if you know anything about Everyday People, they usually book the DJs for that way in advance. But anyway, so I'm like, okay, cool. Then they randomly get a call like, hey, we're actually doing an official Everyday People after party. We want you on it. And then I was like, okay, cool. I thought it was gonna be just like me, just like, doing like a little after party. Then my cousin calls me from Cali like, bro, you're on the Everyday People page. They just posted you as the after party. So what that being said is like, sometimes you don't even realize you're closer to what you want than you realize. And I never even said to anybody, the person that asked me to do the party, I never said to them, y'all would love to do Everyday People. That person, she just was like, no, your vibe, yes, this. So just never really give up on yourself. Also recognize manifestation, keep bringing that up, keep talking about it. Because those things were in my brain. And then a really good feeling is to feel what's in your brain start like actually materializing. And then it gets crazier when you never ever said it to nobody else. And then you start seeing it happening. You're like, oh, shoot, this is real. So, yeah, long way to say it's anything's possible, basically.
I was personally going to ask, like, at this stage, like, did you already have, or what is your kind of I made it moment? Like, do you have something in mind that you're like, yo, once this happens, I know, like, I'm stamped in this, or have you already felt like you're stamped in this?
I don't feel like I'm stamped. I feel like I'm a beginner every day. You have moments, but then you be like, because one thing about being a creative too, like as a singer, as an artist, as a DJ, I feel like I personally be feeling like I'm as best as my last moment, right? So sometimes I have a set, I'm like, I went crazy, like I'm that girl. Then I have a set and the board not working, the crowd looking at me like, I'm like, damn, I'm a beginner. So all that to say, like, I still don't feel like I made it. I feel like I'm making progress, but every day I feel it's an opportunity to keep going.
With that said, make some noise for DJ RAQIE one time. Please shout out your socials, how people can follow, support your next event if you would like to plug it. And then actually right before I do that, I do want to make space for our partners at Plus and Trust to come up here and just give a word, one, for just curating, not only helping us curate an amazing space, but also bringing DJ RAQIE in the building. For those who may not be aware, I know we also had someone else that was planned to be here today, but God, honestly, everything's on God. This worked out the best, and I'm so happy to have you here. So with that, make some room for Mitch.
Appreciate you. I appreciate y'all. You said it. I think the biggest thing is everything's on time when you move at God's speed. That's Al Dom's down in Norfolk. But I appreciate y'all because we talk about organic connection and plus and trust and building community through music and art. And I remember being at Langston Golf Course and Cook comes up to me and he's like, yo, I think I've seen you before, yo. And then I realized that he was on a podcast with Kadeja. Kadeja, we went to ODU together. I'm talking like Rogers freshman year, same dorm, right? So you just think about like, I didn't move back to this area till 2023, right? And in the 2 years, I've kind of had this full circle moment of reestablishing these relationships and making new ones organically. And we literally were on the driving range and Cook was like, yo, we should do something together. Like we should do something for Black Music Month at the end of the month. I'm thinking like June 28th. So I said, all right, bet, let's do it. Like we can do it. No worries. So we made it happen, and here we are today. This has just been a passion, a work together, and this is truly just the fruition of working together in our community. So I appreciate y'all for having us. And like I want to say, RAQIE is the reason that I'm back in DJing. I started in college, and when she started doing Close Friends by herself, she was like, "You should get up there." And I looked at the board. I was like, I don't know if I got it anymore. And, you know, from that point on, I bought my board, got back into it, and we've just been going hard. And she's elevated. She's taken me up to New York. That we met Jarv, and Jarv is up in Brooklyn doing this thing. So it's just this down the East Coast. We're just building this community for music. We go down to Richmond often. But this is just a start. This is the origin. Working with the CTLN network and just making sure that we're able to amplify each other's voices. Not just for clout, but for community. So we appreciate y'all for having us in the space. Appreciate Shakeland Hall. They've been with us for a long time. So this is just, yeah, I'm emotional, but I appreciate it for everybody just coming out tonight and supporting, being here, being attentive, being intentional. So yeah, we're about to really turn up now.
Thanks so much, Mitch. So yeah, my socials is underscore RAQIE. So RAQIE. Give me a follow, give me a hey, send me music, send me stuff. I love chatting with people. So yeah.
And if this is your first time hearing a CTLN, we are pretty much just a creative collective that's building community. And we have a lot of programming for creatives. So please feel free to follow us at CTLN_network. We also are, again, we have the networking card game and a lot more coming for creatives in this rest of this year. So if you would love to connect with us, anyone on the team has a QR code on their phone. Team, raise your hand. Team, raise your hands, just so we know. Bad. All around. And so we thank you guys for rocking with us today. We hope you keep channeling creativity. And we about to turn up with the Plus and Trust family. Make some noise. I'm Cook at a guy named Cook. J Law.
I'm J Law, art by J Law _.
Let's get it. Thank y'all.